everyone! Welcome to CFA Homeschool's Quick Start series. Today we're going to be talking about the different kinds of learning styles. They say every student learns differently. Each has its own way, has his or her way of remembering, comprehending, absorbing, retaining information, processing information even. So, it's important as we homeschool to know the different learning styles of our kids. Why? Para mas efficient yung teaching natin, di ba? And to avoid meltdowns, struggles, when emotions will run high. I'm sure the old homeschoolers can relate to this. May mga moments talaga na it seems that our child can't absorb the lesson. So knowing the learning style will help. So let's begin. The learning modalities was presented by Neil Fleming. He said that it can be divided into 3 categories: the visual, the auditory, and the kinesthetic. Let's start with the visual. So the visual learners, they are the ones who learn best by, you guessed it, by seeing. So, ano tong mga visual learners? Let's describe them. Si visual learner, siya yung mahilig makakita ng graphs, ng charts, ng diagrams. They like seeing things in color. They like looking at stuff. They like visual aids. So, kung may na-encounter kayo ng teacher who gives a high mark, pag ang ganda-ganda ng visual aid mo when you were a student, baka visual learner siya. And the visual learners, they like responding and using phrases that begin with, I see what you mean. Ano pa? I get the picture. And another one is, what's your view? Yan yung mga visual learners. So, as we go along, you might also realize kung what kind of learning style applies best to you, diba? Okay. So, the visual learners, they like written instructions. Mabilis nilang ma-pick up yan. They like doodles, they like lists, they like looking at stuff. So, those are the visual learners. Let's go with the next. The next kind of learner are the auditory learners. So, can you tell me, how do they learn best? Syempre, they learn best by hearing. They like starting or using the phrases, that rings a bell, or I hear what you're saying, or that sounds okay to me. Yun yung mga auditory learners. Those are the clues to determine kung auditory learner ka ba or kung auditory learner yung anak mo. They like listening rather than reading. Sila yung parang some kids, when they read the directions in the test, they get it right away. So baka visual sila. But some kids, nandyan na yung instruction, babasahin mo na lang. They need to hear it from you. They might be auditory learners. Okay? And sila also yung mga, they like hearing their own voice, and they might prefer podcasts. If the visual learner prefers, let's say, watching a YouTube video or reading, si auditory learner prefers podcasts or listening to you or discussing or hearing his or her own voice. Okay, let's go now to the third. The third kind of learner, these learners are the ones who respond best to phrases that says, for example, that feels right, or let me try, or can you try this out? Yan naman si kinesthetic learner. Si kinesthetic learner, actually, this learner is very misunderstood because he gives out the impression that he doesn't listen. He's busy doing things. Pero that's how he works eh. Parang kailangan meron siya laging ginagawa. So, siya yung medyo kiti-kiti or laging may ginagawa. He might be tapping his pen a lot or moving around or playing with something while you're studying because they prefer or they learn best by experiencing and doing. So, they're the ones who are athletic. They might be good in dancing or in sports. And they really struggle to sit still. So, those are the 3 kinds of learning styles or learning modalities according to Neil Fleming. Now, what are the tips in order for our children to study without tears? Let's remember the abbreviation or the acronym SWOT. That's studying without tears. For the visual learners, how do they study without tears? So, if you know that your child is more of a visual learner, it would be better for you to utilize graphs, charts, diagrams. Perhaps one of the best way to teach or to learn is through the use of mind maps and lap books kasi those study tools are very visual. You can make a mind map that's colorful and lap books that are, full of pictures. So, okay yun na tool for the visual learners. You can ask them also to redraw pages from memory. Ako, I think I'm more of actually mix but I'm a visual learner. Back in college, I would actually take notes by copying how the professor would write the notes on the blackboard. So, I had a professor before who liked writing notes at different angles of the blackboard. So, sa notebook, ganun ko rin siya kokopyahin. Kung nakatagilid din siya sa notebook ko. Kung nasa baba siya ng kung nasa baba siya ng blackboard, nandun din siya, nasa baba din siya ng page ng notebook ko. That's how the visual learners learn. For the auditory learners, it's best to record notes. So they prefer things that they hear. And to talk or discuss topics, you can ask them to repeat back new concepts to you, what they've learned, and then you involve them a lot in discussions. Gusto nila yung kwentuhan. My son, I have a son who's an auditory learner, so he likes discussing things a lot. You can say that he's not really into reading. Ayaw niya, hindi siya reader. Pero if you talk to him, you discuss things with him, ayan, it keeps him more focused or mas attentive siya. Yun, sa auditory. So, make use of videos. Ang ganda ngayon kasi we have access to a lot of shows on YouTube, Netflix, the different websites where they can watch and learn and listen. You can also give quizzes orally. Baka kasi mas gusto niya yung ganon. Okay? And let's go to the kinesthetic or tactile learners. How do you make them study without tears? What are the strategies? So, ito, kay kinesthetic, we need to be extra patient. We should allow them to move around, give them breaks in between lessons kasi they can't sit still for a long time. So, tanggapin na natin and let's just adjust. Let's give them more breaks in between the lessons. And let's incorporate a lot of acting, moving, games, and experiments. Gusto kasi nila yung things that they can do, they can hold, they can feel. Ayan si kinesthetic. So, we have the visual, auditory, and kinesthetic. But, meron akong disclaimer before we go on. It doesn't mean that if your son is visual, you're always gonna present things visually. Maganda rin yung you present him with auditory, yung kinesthetic. Why? Because there's such a thing as engaged learning. What is engaged learning? Okay, according to Edgar Dale, people remember 10% of what they read, 20% of what they hear, and 90% of what they do. Dale reported that the more senses are used or are involved in learning, the stronger the learning will be. Kaya importante na you mix and match them. You mix and match the different learning modalities, especially for the young learners. We're talking about preschoolers and those in the lower grades, mga grade 3 and below. Also, there are other factors that may come into play when it comes to learning preferences. So, dito papasok yung natural learning ability, the technical skill level or the skill know-how of the kid, and the learning environment, and the interest in a certain subject. Okay? So, I hope you learned a lot from the learning styles presented by Neil Fleming. Let's move on to the next kind of learning style, this time by Dr. Keith Golay. He presented learning styles naman according to the temperament of the child. To make this presentation more exciting, let's talk about a very famous movie which I hope you guys know.
Behold the ancient styles of Kung Fu. Monkey. Crane. Mantis. Viper. Tiger.
Don't tell Monkey.
Go ahead, Panda. Show us what you can do.
Okay, yeah, I just ate. So I'm still digesting, so my Kung Fu might not be as good as later on.
DreamWorks Kung Fu Panda.
How's that?
So ano tong movie na to? Kung Fu Panda. Sa Kung Fu Panda, we have the masters. We're gonna talk about the different learning styles in relation to the masters or the Furious 5. The first learning style, let's call it learning style number 1. Ito yung learning style siguro ni Master Po. Si Po of Kung Fu Panda. Ito yung active learner. Hindi lang siya kinesthetic eh. We're not just talking about he prefers moving around or not sitting still. This learning style means na he's quick, he's impulsive, kasama yung personality niya. He's very spontaneous. He learns by accident. Sometimes, di ba parang si Po, nare-realize niya na something is working. Ginagawa na pala niya before he realizes na, uy, okay pala to okay pala tong strategy para ma-defeat ko si Tai Long. Okay. So, yun yung Po learning style or the active learning style. He does things first before thinking. So, doing happens before thinking. And then, he prefers the actual concrete world. Gusto niya na yung application agad. Ayaw niya masyado yung what happens in the books. He doesn't like reading so much. And he's quick. He thrives on variety. He doesn't like routine. He actually hates structure. And he dislikes doing seat work or exercises. Kaya, ito yung mga pag nagbigay ka ng worksheet, sisimangot. Siya si Po. Or siya yung learning style na active learning style. The second learning style The keyword for the second learning style would be routine. Sino kaya sa Kung Fu Panda Masters ang ganito? She is the teacher's joy. She's very compliant, cooperative. She is very methodical. She enjoys rules. She gets upset by changes. Kailangan everything is well planned, well organized. Kailangan may sistema lahat. She is dependable. She is responsible. Actually, ito yung type of learner na super daling turuan kasi nga parang siya yung always yes, mommy, or yes, daddy, I can do it. Whatever you tell her to do, gagawin niya. She prefers to be told. Ayun, she prefers to be told what to do in a step-by-step manner. Hindi mo siya pwedeng iwan na you just tell her na, ikaw bahala how you want to study. Hindi pwede. Kailangan sabihin mo lahat. She dislikes large groups. She's not fond of open-ended assignments, like what I mentioned earlier. And she prefers she prefers traditional teaching methods, memorizing facts, remembering the patterns, answering worksheets. Ayan, di ba? Sino sa tingin nyo ang Kung Fu Panda Master na routine learner? Ang sagot, sa tingin ko, it is Tigress. Diba? Si Tigress yung parang following Master Shifu. She always wants to please Master Shifu a lot. Kaya, siya si routine. Let's go to the third learning style, according to Dr. Golay. The third learning style naman is the focused learner. Okay? Sino ang focus sa kanila? The focused learner, these are the learners that will learn despite you. Kahit hindi ka magturo sa kanila, he or she will learn. Kasi focused sila eh. And pag meron silang nagustuhan na topic or lesson, they're really going to find out. They're really going to go out of their way to research, to learn about it, find more information. Sila yon. Sila yung focused learner. They're very independent, inquisitive. They love solving problems. They like experiments. They enjoy research. Sila siguring madalas tumambay sa library. If you came from a traditional school, yung anak nyo na madalas tumambay sa library, they might be a focused learner. They're very detail-oriented. They have a tendency to be a perfectionist. And they are serious by nature. They actually don't like parang simple assignments like answer worksheet, number ganito to ganito, and then they're just going to answer a multiple choice. Gusto nila yung na-challenge sila. They prefer to be challenged instead of entertained, rather than being entertained. And they are not too social. They're more on the serious loner side. They are strong-willed. They like facts. They like books, computers. Ayan sila. So, sila ang focused learner. Out of the masters, I think, ang best na nagfi-fit ng description sa focused learner would be Master Crane. Ayan. Di ba si Master Crane, before he became a master, he was actually parang a cleaner in a parang ninja school ba yun? And he learned things on his own. Nakita lang siya nung isang parang estudyante, tapos na-motivate siya to train as a kung fu fighter, di ba? So, si Crane was like that. He was quiet. He learned things on his own. And he's a little serious. Out of them, except for Tigress. After Tigress, parang si Crane na is the one who's on the serious side. Okay? So, ayan ang focused learner. The fourth learner would be what we call the global learner. Si global learner, this learner is the one who's people person. Siguro sa school setting, siya yung popular sa peers, popular sa teachers, popular sa students. And this person is very creative, very friendly, outgoing, ambitious, very social. This learner is very flexible. And this learner is actually hindi siya yung mababaw na friendly na fake. This learner believes, or the personality of the global learner is siya yung friendly and sincere. She or he believes in the potential in others. Mahilig siya sa tao. And he's very perceptive and also enjoys group activities. So, that's the global learner. Sa Kung Fu Panda, sino ang global learner? Diba si Monkey? Si Master Monkey yung global learner. Diba, when Po was new to Kung Fu, when Po was new in the Jade Palace, one of the first persons who warmed up easily to Po was Monkey. Siya yung parang friendly agad or mabilis na, he's the one who let his guard down right away kay Po. Siya si global learner. Ayan. Ang lang problema lang kay global learner, siya, hindi siya masyadong detail-oriented and he's not very organized. Focus na siya masyado on people, on getting along with everyone, on friends, on socializing. So when it comes to organizing stuff and looking into the details or finding a system, medyo hindi na siya ganon. Okay? So what will be our strategies to study without tears for these kinds of learners? Let's go back to Po. How will we study without tears if your learner is like Po? Again, medyo similar to the kinesthetic learner to. Si Po, when it comes to having a learner like Po, you need to be really, really patient. I would like to advise you to, not break his spirit or not force him to be someone he isn't. Kasi siguro tayo, we're all brought up, most of us are brought up in a traditional setup, diba? Traditional school. And a lot of us are used to like sitting long, sitting for hours, sitting still, listening to the teacher, complying. But, like Po, hindi ganon. Hindi pwedeng mag-sit still ang active learner. You might break his spirit. You have to make sure that you give him short breaks. Make sure that the task that you give him would be 15 minutes max. And then, lalo na for the younger ones, 15 minutes and then break. Balik ulit and then break. Ganun dapat kay active learner. I know it might irritate you because I also have an active learner and super nakaka-relate ako. Allow the active learner to fidget. Allow him to move around. Allow him to tap his pencil because that's how their mind works. They're not doing it because they're distracted or they're not doing it to irk you. It's just who they are. Kailangan din ng love and, like I said, lots of patience when it comes to the active learner. We have to be flexible. We have to be flexible, we have to be kind and firm, but, ito yung but, we should provide a daily routine and we should give them clear boundaries. The active learner hates routine, di ba? Kaso, ang mundo rin naman, kailangan pa rin yan ng routine eh. Just make sure that the routine that he has, he can work around it. That's where you give the short breaks. Okay? And for his sake, include activities that are outside the routine every now and then. The active learner likes surprises. Ayaw niya ng parang study na naman, desk na naman, worksheet na naman, quiz na naman. You have to innovate, you have to modify, you have to give activities that will allow him to move, that will allow him to practice his speed. Gusto nila yon. Okay? And ito, very important for the active learner. You have to set short-term goals and celebrate small victories. For the routine learner, like Tigress, na super compliant, super teacher's joy, these are the strategies naman. Because they thrive on a routine nga. You need to set a well-organized, scheduled, or sequential lesson with incremental steps. What do I mean by that? Kailangan naka-layout sa kanya how you will present the lesson and may outline ano yung steps na gagawin ninyo dapat para mas mag-thrive siya doon. She gets anxious kasi not knowing what's gonna happen next. So, ayan si routine. Ayan si Tigress. And then, the lessons have to be organized and you need to make the directions clear to her. Pag hindi, baka magpanik. Magpapanik si Tigress. They like thinking linearly. So, wag kang bigla in the middle of your lesson, you're going to switch gears and then change your mind and say, ay, let's learn this na lang. Ay, ito na lang pala gagawin natin ngayon. Wag. Kasi gusto nila yung order. Gusto nila yung napag-usapan ninyo. Yun yung masusunod. Okay? Tigress, the routine learner, they are good with facts and with memorizing details. The problem with this is, okay na sila doon. They're the teacher's joy nga. Sila yung if you might be one of them or you might have a classmate who scores high in exams because kabisado nila lahat, inaral nila lahat, tinandaan nila yung lalabas sa exam. But may tendency na the routine learner like Tigress may be weak in understanding the concept behind the lesson, the whys. Yun yung, if you give them an open-ended question or you ask them to write an essay na medyo, explaining your view or a reaction paper, larger concept, they might be at a loss. So, it's better also to train the routine learner on how to think out of the box because they're used na to think or they're used to learning inside the box Kailangan masanay sila din na, paano pag ganito? You have to train them to think critically kasi importante din yun, di ba? And then, train him or her to be more independent and to make decisions on his or her own. Si Tigress kasi, she just likes taking commands, di ba? Kung anong sinabi ko na rin ni Master Shifu, kailangan yun at yun lang din. Pero, yeah, may scene din pala doon na si Tigress showed that she can be independent and she can think then on her own. So, it's nice then. You need to put the routine learner in a situation where she can think independently. Wag din siya masyadong masanay. The routine learner should not get used to you being there or to being dependent on you. Allow her to take risks. You can tap the routine learner's nurturing talent. If you have younger siblings, give her the responsibility to teach her younger siblings. Kasi magigain, the routine learner will be more confident in teaching or in living outside the box or her comfort zone. All right, let's go now to the strategies for the focused learner. Sino nga ba yung focused learner? Si Crane, di ba? Let's go to Crane. What will work for the focused learner? Focused learner prefers challenges over entertainment. So, better to challenge him with activities or with assignments that are way beyond memorization. So, way beyond multiple choice. Parang kailangan i-up mo yung game or ano ba yun, magkaroon ka ng extra challenge to make a lesson more engaging for the focused learner. And what else? Allow him to advance in subject areas that he is particularly interested in. Kasi nga, di ba, si focused learner, siya yung if he's interested in a particular topic, talagang he will do everything, even if it's out of the lesson, he's gonna do everything to find out more about it. So, just allow him that. Hindi pwede, we're homeschooling, we can be flexible. So, hindi pwedeng, anak, that's not part of the lesson, don't study that muna. Give him time. Give him time to explore what he wants. Yan ang gusto ng focused learner. Okay? And, who knows, baka mamaya, the subject area that he's interested in, baka mamaya, you can actually connect it to the lesson that you have during a certain quarter. Baka naman, di ba? So, you can explore that also. And, the focused learner works well with mentors and tutors. Gusto niya yung one-on-one for a particular interest. So, let's say he's interested in medicine. You might know someone or you might have a friend who's a doctor. Your focused learner might want to ask questions, or you can arrange a meet-up online to interview that person. Or let's say your learner is into gaming. Tapos, you can connect him to a gamer. Mag-uusap sila about, the gaming jargon or who the characters are. So, they like that. They like one-on-one mentoring. And what else? Ang problema pala kay focused learner, he's not so social, di ba? Hindi siya masyadong friendly. So, improve his social skills by, letting him still be involved in group activities or family activities. And also, you brief him on the proper etiquette. Kasi sabi nila, another description pala of the focused learner is, sila daw yung may tendency na they're gonna forget eating, taking a bath, because they're so focused on one thing. Makakalimutan na nila lahat. So, you have to, talk to him about proper etiquette, about proper hygiene. Kasi nga, these are the things that are like, least on his mind. Okay? And let's go to the fourth one, si Monkey. Si Master Monkey, the friendly, outgoing, people-oriented learner, popular learner. Let's go to Monkey. Learning for Monkey should be very individualized. You have to involve her by getting her input and by, talking about getting her response. Kasi, mas gusto niya yung chikahan. The learner like Monkey prefers discussion over lecture. Parang mas na-absorb niya yung lesson when you discuss things. And then, because Monkey is interested in people, he's a people person, si global learner, he will thrive on a topic na about people. Let's say you're talking about global warming. Yung global warming might not be an interesting topic for a global learner. It's not gonna be an interesting topic. But if you start talking about global warming, you're talking about global warming in relation to its effect on people, ayan, mas magiging attentive na siya. Because you're talking about people. Parang anything that pertains to people, that's what attracts a global learner most. And what else? The global learner thrives on group activities. So you might be asking, paano mag-group activities? Homeschooled nga tayo. Okay, paano nga ba? Group activities can also be among siblings, diba? Or kung only child, baka pwedeng with mommy, with daddy. That's considered a group activity na with yaya. Or kung meron siyang cousin, kasama din sa bahay, group activity din yon. So, ang global learner kasi they like interacting They like interacting a lot. Hopefully, as we homeschool, your child, if he or she is a global learner, will get to meet new friends, di ba? And also, the global learner, siya yung hindi masyadong detail-oriented. So, it's better to train him to be more detail-oriented. Train him to pay more attention to details, like reading directions in an exam, checking answers for carelessness, kasi because nga hindi detailed si global-oriented or global learner, hindi niya na i-check yung answer niya. Yung pala may careless na mali. And also, the global learner needs more training to be organized. What does that mean? It means that hindi porke ito ang weakness niya, you'll allow the weakness to be there na. It means yun yung mga rooms niya for improvement, di ba? So, if the global learner is known to not be very detail-oriented or not be very organized, o di, you find a way para ma-improve niya yung aspect na yon. Okay? So, there you have it. You have the different learning styles according to Neil Fleming, the visual, the auditory, and the kinesthetic, and the different learning styles according to Dr. Keith Golay. You have the active, the routine, the focused learner, and the global learner. Madaling tandaan, active, parang si Poe, yung routine, parang si Tigress, the focused learner will be someone like Crane, and the global learner would be someone who's friendly and outgoing like Monkey. I hope after this you learned something new and you can determine also what learning style you have and what learning style your child has. That way, you'll have, your homeschool will be more smooth sailing. There you have it. We learned about the different learning styles according to Neil Fleming, which are the visual, the auditory, and the kinesthetic, and also the different learning styles according to Dr. Keith Golay, which are active. So, tandaan nyo lang yung Kung Fu Panda. Si Poe being the active learner, Tigress being the routine or teacher's joy kind of learner, si Crane, Master Crane, being the focused learner, and Monkey being the global, outgoing, free learner. Yan naman si Monkey. I hope by knowing the learning styles, you will find it easier to connect with your child, to homeschool better, and to learn well. Good luck. God bless on your homeschooling journey. This is Coach Tricia wishing you a wonderful homeschooling journey ahead. Bye.